Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this new series what I want to do is discuss some Brexit calls to action. It's not a normal political commentary, but what people can do if, like me, they want to put a stop to this Brexit madness and get the best out of the general election. Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, it's a bad idea. It is happening. To make it really different, I actually wanted to film some of these on location. I'm afraid, however, the weather is being very British at the moment. So let's discuss my first one, which is essentially persuading other people to vote that may not ordinarily do so. But first, if you find yourself enjoying the video, then please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. So these series are going to be the nearest thing I do to campaigning, urging people to do something. I never tell people how to vote, and I'm never going to do. But if you are minded to remove the Conservatives, then this is what I think we need to do. And there's going to be a whole series of these. And yes, as people keep pointing out, I will discuss tactical voting in a short time as well. But at the moment, that's not the urgent thing. The urgent thing, get people to vote. For the first general election that I have been able to vote, I have a slight shift in priorities with this one. For me, for millions of people, for me, it was always about getting a Labour government. It still is. But for millions of people who vote both Labour and Conservative, not at the same time, of course, but, you know, because sometimes I thought to myself, isn't it weird that you'll get people voting Labour in one election, then Conservative in another? They're poles apart, really. They're poles apart. And it's simply this. There are millions of people out there who don't vote for a party, they vote against the party. If it's a particular election where they hate the Conservatives and they really want them out, they'll vote Labour. Not necessarily because they support Labour, they just rather have Labour. It's a choice. It's Hobson's choice for some people. For me, the top priority this time round is absolutely getting rid of the Tories from government. It is so crucial. It's always important, I feel, to have a Labour government because people suffer, the country suffers when we have a Conservative government. That has certainly been the case in my lifetime. I'm not exactly a keen historian. I can't say that Conservative governments may not in the distant past have ever done any good, but they haven't done any good in my lifetime. They've done only harm. So for me, it's more important. What do I mean by that? I'm going to vote Labour in this election because it's easy, because it's a Labour constituency and ultimately, Labour are fighting for this constituency against Brexit supporting parties. Conservatives may be the Brexit party. But if I were in a constituency where Labour had no chance, I'd actually be voting for the Remain party that had a chance. But it doesn't matter about that. Like, if we're talking about the sort of people who vote normally anyway, at the moment, what are we doing? Those votes are just being traded between Labour and the Liberal Democrats. What matters is we reduce the number of Conservative seats. The Brexit party may or may not help us with that one. So what we need to do is to increase the number of people who will vote. Now, there are two problems that we are facing at the moment, two worries, unless you're a Conservative supporter or a Brexit supporter. The first is that the polls would suggest a Tory win. Not necessarily a Tory majority, but a Tory win, and it could lead to a Tory majority. The second is that on the opposition side, Jeremy Corbyn is deeply unpopular as a leader. Face fact, you may like him, but across the country, he is massively, massively unpopular, well beyond any margin of error in the polls. And leadership popularity does matter a lot in general elections. These are two massive minuses. There is no point in denying these 2 points. They have shown to be true time and time again. Accepted political wisdom says the Labour are knackered. However, that is not to say that the tide cannot be turned. Polls are based on the sort of people who are going to go and vote. Get more people voting and the accepted wisdom changes. Most of the disaffected, we have piss poor turnouts, and we've had piss poor turnouts for a while now. And the reason why a lot of people don't vote, because first of all, they'll think it doesn't make a difference. It absolutely makes a difference this time. It should be easy to persuade people of that. Second of all, they think, well, the government doesn't do anything for me. And the irony of that is the people who are most turned off by politics are the people for whom the majority of the time when we have a Conservative government don't do anything for them. Well, so those are the people that generally vote Labour. And they're certainly more likely to vote Liberal Democrat than Conservatives. There has been, and this is encouraging, a massive surge in the number of registrations. Huge, in fact. That being said, don't fool yourself. It's not going to massively change the landscape. We're not talking about as many people again registering as normally vote. It's a lot, but it's not that many. But it is enough to make a difference in key constituencies. It's not going to, if at the last election, say the Conservative candidate got 50% of the vote and Labour got 10%, it's not going to be enough to shift that around. Hopefully, the Liberal Democrats got something like 30%, put it behind them. It could shift that size of a margin over. And it's very, very important to persuade them to register to vote and then to go out and vote. Get young people out especially, but most especially just if it's, and this is maybe where, even if you are a voter yourself, maybe you're not eligible, maybe you're an EU citizen living in the UK and you're not eligible, maybe you're younger, maybe for some other reason you're not going to be able to vote. But you can still persuade other people to get registered first of all. That's why I'm doing this one first, actually. In terms of persuading people to vote, that can be left till later. But if they're not registered, they can't vote. Get them registered. It's so easy to do. They can do it online. The only piece of information that they may not have in their heads they'll need is their national insurance number. So make sure they've got that and register with it. And this is what you're going to be up against. This is the sort of unpleasant person that's going to hold sway in this country if the Conservatives get their way. I've always thought Conservative policies are unpleasant. It's quite clear about that. However, they have purged what few, even semi-reasonable people they have in the party. It has become hardcore. The Conservative Party is now indistinguishable from the Brexit Party. Rob Liddell, who is one of our most obnoxious journalists, he writes in The Spectator, this is the paper where Boris Johnson cut his teeth and was at his most obnoxious. He has written an article in The Spectator that parents should do whatever they can to stop their children voting, their teenage children, those in the young 20s, early 20s rather, because they know that they're overwhelmingly likely to vote for pro-Remain parties and against the Conservatives. He said, do whatever it takes. And he's made it clear what he means by that, by the way. He hasn't just meant it in a persuade them type way. No. He has suggested drugging. Parents drugging their own children on polling day. Forcibly preventing them. Getting them drunk, getting them high on drugs. Using the use of the word or term horse tranquilizers was even used in the advice to stop this happening. This is the sort of person we have to stop. And the way we counter that, this anti-democratic behaviour, is to just persuade as many as people. Tell these young people as well what is going to happen if they don't. Okay? And I'm a teacher, so I have teenage students. I'm well prepared for this. I have been getting my students to register. I'm not telling them how to vote, and I will not tell even you how to vote. I'll certainly not do that. That's unprofessional. But I have got them to register. I can't force them to vote itself, but I've got them to register because it's so easy to do. There's computers in my classroom. I've got them to do it there and then. Some of them haven't remembered the national insurance number, so I've had to let them do it elsewhere. But I've got a load more registering. If even some of those vote that may not have done, that is a win. Even if they're not voting the way I'd necessarily want them to, just get them out and vote, because the majority of young people will. And and also, when you're trying to persuade people to register, by the way, don't just think, oh, right, that's a win, I've got them to register, hopefully they'll vote. Try and think about barriers to voting, because we want as many people voting as possible. What are their barriers? So this takes place on Thursday, the 12th of December. Polling stations are usually open from 7 a.m. till like maybe 10 p.m. Now, early in the morning, if you're like me, you don't really want to get up early. You want to get up at the last possible moment for you to get to work or to college or whatever. So in my case, it's both. So maybe don't plan on them doing it in the morning if they're not the sort of person that gets up early naturally. Don't bank on it on that day. Remember, these are the sort, if you're persuading them to even just register, they're not the sort of people who are going to put themselves through a lot of effort to vote. We want to make it as easy as possible. So they're going to go to college or work or whatever. There's time afterwards. But think about it. On that Thursday, are they likely to do that? Are they likely to just go home, put their feet up, go to the pub or do something else? If that's the case, face facts. They're not going to go down to the polling station. So what can you do about that? Persuade them to get postal voting. There's still time to do that. But it wants to be done early. They have to sign a form for that, but they can download it online, get it printed out. You can print it out for them. Get them to fill it in. They'll have to sign it. You could even persuade, you could even say, right, here's the envelope and I've put a stamp on it ready, put it in. You can offer to post it for them. Make it as easy as possible for them. Put it in there. They'll get their postal ballot through just before the election. Again, keep asking them, have you got your postal ballot? If so, again, make it as easy as possible. Get them to fill it in. Don't you look, that's fine. Let them vote how they want. Don't pressure them to vote a particular way. That's my advice anyway. You do what you want. In the envelope, say that you'll post it if necessary. Make it as easy as possible. Try and think about it this way, and this is the way I definitely think about it. So imagine all the people that, because you can imagine it this way. So the people who are the surge in registrations is clearly from people who don't normally vote. Now, it is likely to be based on the Brexit position because everyone knows Tories get in with the majority, we're leaving the EU. If other parties get in with the majority, even Labour and the Lib Dems, who are not really cooperating at the moment, but maybe after the general election they will, because whatever they were fighting over is done. They're basically fighting over MPs. Once that's set for another few years, they may work together on this. So what we'll definitely get in that case is a referendum. That's how clear it is. That's how clear-cut this decision is. So make it as easy as possible. Just in case you're worried, well, maybe a lot of the people registering might actually be pro-Brexit. Maybe. I would look at it this way. Look at pro-Brexit protests. They're few in number and few in number of people taking part in them. Look at pro-Remain protests. Huge. Swarmed London with 1 million plus people twice now. We've had other large demonstrations around the place as well. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people who will walk down the road and put a pencil on a box that makes Brexit more likely. But they do not feel strongly enough about it to actually protest, to demonstrate. That's a fact. That is a fact. Remember when Brexiteers were saying that if we were still in the EU on the 1st of November, that the Conservative Party would be finished and the country would have exploded. The country hasn't exploded and the Conservative Party at the moment are in pole position. It's all rubbish. Absolute rubbish. There is zero issue with not delivering Brexit. There aren't going to be riots. There aren't going to be civil disobedience. Political landscape isn't going to change massively. It's not. They don't care enough about it. But those who want to remain do, and we need to make it count there. And as I say, it's not just about our vote. It's about the votes of people who wouldn't normally vote. Help them out. If even you think about that 1 million people going on that march, they all feel very strongly about it, really strongly. Some of them travelling from bloody Scotland, for goodness sake. If each of those people found one person that doesn't want to vote and they persuaded them by making it as easy as possible, not forcing them to vote a particular way, just find someone make it as easy as possible, as I've just established there. Everyone did that, that's 1 million extra people voting. If the rest of us who didn't go down to the march but still feel strongly about it, if we all did it as well, that could be more. At this point, you are talking about the accepted political wisdom at the moment being brushed under the carpet. A new era. We can actually do this, but it needs everyone to do that and not just focus on your own vote, which I will come to later in the series, but getting other people to vote and helping them out. Help them out as much as possible. Help them to register. Help them to vote. If they're not going to be able to vote on the day, get them doing postal voting. Say you'll even send off the letter with the form in it. You'll even send off the letter with the postal vote in it. Just do that. Okay? There has never been a larger difference in what it's going to mean. And this is why I'll echo what I said at the beginning. For me, this election, it's more important to kick the Tories out than it is to get Labour in. Now, obviously, if the Tories are out, I would hope that means Labour are in. But the emphasis for me has changed. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As I say, there's going to be more in this series as well. I'll try and distinguish them from the other ones where I can. Hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.